It is July wrap-up time, and can you tell the month didn't go as planned? I only read 11 books. I think the only month I've done worse than this may have been the month I had COVID. Like, it was bad. I went through a reading slump. It's fine. We don't need to talk about it. I am partially through another book I did not finish, which is Rhapsodic. The last book for vlog. I think I'm like 178-ish pages into it. But, yeah. At least I didn't DNF any this time. This time around, I'm gonna go through a little bit differently. I'm still gonna give you the average rating for the month, which was 3.64, which is still a little bit higher than my normal average rating, which I believe is somewhere around the 3.4 range. We love it when I forget to turn off my fridge beforehand, so it doesn't randomly turn on. But also, I'm gonna talk about the amount of pages I read, which was 3,548, for an average of 114 and a half about a day, which, yeah, no, most days I didn't read anything, let alone 100 pages, and then there were, like, 5 days where I read, like, 400 pages. We don't need to talk about it. Another thing we're not going to talk about is how you can definitely see the book down here. I basically didn't read any more Brandon Sanderson's. I only read one more story from here, which I am going to start talking about as I read them because I decided to rate them as I go. And so, because of that, first I have to talk about The 11th Middle, which I did read in May, like the pages and average rating. Like, it didn't go towards any of that stuff. But because I wasn't sure if I talked about it in May, I think that's when I read it. I'll talk about it now for like 5 seconds. I read that one 3 stars. It was fine. And then the one that I read for this month, or what should have been like a month ago, but you know, we don't need to talk about this, it's fine, is Allomancer Jack and the Pets of Eltania. I don't know what that was, honestly. I rated that one 2 stars. I am still confused after all this time, and that is fine. And that's where that bad boy. Otherwise, we'll just go back into the normal path in which we talk about all the books I read for vlogs first, which is most of the books. If you can't tell by that magical number right there, there's only a few books that I didn't read, that I read that weren't for vlogs, and most of them were super short. We don't need to talk about it. Platypus by R.J. Blaine. That was my first ever weekend vlog. Honestly, contemplating rating it a little higher than I did because I read a worse book this month and I rated it the same. And I will talk about that one. I've got thoughts and opinions on that other one. But that one does have a vlog, of course. That will be the first weekend vlog. And all vlogs will be linked below as per normal. And it wasn't what I expected. I didn't get any of the chemistry, so it didn't really feel paranormal romance. It just felt weird, but also none of the weird stuff really came to fruition. Like, I didn't get to see the geese attack the evil people, and that's the whole reason why I was there, right? So, I guess we can go into the other weekend reading vlog, but the fact that there's another vlog, but I haven't even gotten that one out yet. Hopefully that will be out before this. But that is the second weekend reading vlog in which I read all 3 of the Steminist novellas, which is what the other 3 numbers in that plus 4 are, which is Under One Roof, is the sound my dog makes when she shakes her collar. Under One Roof, Stuck With You, and Below Zero. The first one was my favorite. In fact, because I didn't want to put my favorite book of the month as a reread, and those are the only books I had that were 5 stars, that means my favorite book of the month was Stuck With You. No, Under One Roof. It was Under One Roof. I don't know what to say. These are all short little novellas by the author of Love Hypothesis, and each one follows 3 recently graduated PhD students going through life, and also romance. Under One Roof is about a woman who inherits half of a house from her mentor after she dies, and her trying to be a woman in environmental science field, but also living with a man who doesn't like her, or so she thinks, and he is a lawyer for like one of the biggest like companies that goes into global warming and all that fun stuff. So yeah, that's that one. Stuck With You is about the one, I think she's engineering, is her field, and she ends up stuck in an elevator in the building with a guy that she went on a date with and like had one passionate night with 3 weeks ago, I think. But then like he like really screwed her over, and she got really upset. And so now it's like the first time they're talking since then in the elevator. And hear me out, she's still in the right, because even if he didn't mean to do it, he still did it. Like, Below Zero is the one about the NASA scientist who goes to, I believe, Antarctica to do an experiment, and she ends up in like the bottom of a ravine or something, cavern, and injured, and the only person that comes for her is a guy who she had a crush on for a very long time. She's like had a thing for a good chunk of time, but she doesn't want to give her heart away. They've known each other for like years on and off, and then he like doxes her project and whatnot, and so and the only one who comes to save her is him, and then romance ensues. They have some great dinner, and by that I mean they have grapes, and I've been on a grape kick this month, so there's that. And then the other vlog that's not finished, but she'll be up before this is up, so it's still gonna be linked below, which is the rereading one. First one, I think this is the only 5-star of the month. I mean, I'm just gonna give you the rating because I've already read them, obviously. So if you follow me on Goodreads before, you already know. You already know, fam. Keeping it at 5 stars too. This is about the fact that the world is ending, and there's 4 horsemen coming to Earth to end humanity. First one that comes is pestilence, and Sarah Burns. I didn't get all the fire puns the first time. We don't need to talk about that. It tries to kill him, and then he takes her as prisoner, and slowly they fall in love in a very short book in comparison to the rest of the series. I still love it. I didn't think I was gonna love it as much as I did the first time, since I've read books 3 and 4, which I thought were my favorites of the series. But no, this is still good, fam. On the other end, my least favorite book of that series is also one I reread. 1, why is it 500 pages? And 2, yeah, it was fine. I guess it's the most different from all the other ones. I try to explain it in the vlog. I did very bad. But it's the most different from all the other ones. It's also very long. In this one, so Pestilence has retired, basically, and war is in town. And Miriam? Yes. Miriam is taken. Every single city he goes through, he takes a bunch of people prisoners, and he instantly knows that she's gonna be like his or something like that. And so basically she's trying to get him to stop killing people while also trying not to fall in love with him. But yeah, yeah, that's it. That's all I can really say. I don't know why it's so long, honestly. It could have been like 200 pages shorter. I think it's because there's so many extra side characters. Like in most of the other ones, they rarely come around other people, and when they do, they're like dead in 2 chapters. In this one, most of those people stay alive. Like, it's a time. We don't need to talk about it. And then there was Vampire Academy, which I also kept at the original rating. And this one, it's still good. It's still good. I read it super fast. There shouldn't be a surprise. With that, I'm very excited to continue the series. I am going to finish it this year, so help me. I guess I could give the rundown of what this one is too. This is about Rose Hathaway and her best friend Alyssa Dragomir, the last Dragomir and a princess in the vampire world. They were kind of like, there was some suspicious stuff before. So they escaped the academy, but they are found and taken back by a hot, tall Russian guy, Dmitri. And they try to survive life in high school, but also politics, but also evil vampires. But also conspiracies and secret magic and all this other stuff. Listen, all I'm going to say is the depression representation in this book is ahead of its time, honestly. And that's all I'm saying. Yes, I've read that twice this year. We don't need to talk about that. And then the last one that I did read this month, because I'm still in the middle of episodic, we don't need to talk about it, was Every Heart a Doorway by Sean McGuire. I did increase the rating of this one. I liked it more the second time around. It wasn't as connected as I thought it was, the, like, mystery part. I thought there was gonna be more hints of it early on. Like, I full on annotated it for that purpose. But, I didn't see it. I didn't see it as, like, it was there a little bit, but it wasn't the same level I thought it was. But, this is about, a bunch of people, or a bunch of kids, who have gone through secret doorways to other worlds, and have been sent back for whatever reason, and trying to reacclimate back to normal society. They're sent, well, some of them are found by this, Eleanor, who, runs a home kind of like Peculiar Children, Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, but, like, I like this one. So, she takes any of them that she can find. That, this school is one that specifically are for kids who want to go back to their world. And, so she finds the main character recently, who was in an underworld. And then shortly after she shows up, people start dying and horrendous things are done to their bodies. And, so then it becomes a mystery kind of aspect where they're trying to figure out who done it, while also protecting who they can. And, yeah. It's, I can't say much more because it's really short, but, it's still good, and I read it super fast. Much faster than I thought it was gonna be, even though it was a reread. And that's it for blogs. We love that for me. Going through the list, we have, I believe, just 2 more. Alright? Yeah, because I didn't read, any Sandersons, and also I didn't finish Bring Me the Heart series. But I did finish the first book in that series last night at like 11:30 p.m. Yes, I'm rating it 3 stars. I don't have many thoughts because it hasn't been long since I finished it. But the basic things, it's about a woman, I forget everyone's character instantly. We know this. She is a heartless, therefore she is kind of like a servant to a witch. Witches can take out the hearts of people who are dying or die tragically usually, and then they can't die, and so they kind of use them as cannon fodder, kind of. There was like previously a bunch of wars against the witches, and so they're used to do things for the witches that the witches can't do themselves and whatnot. But if they like betray, like the witch can kill them, all this easy stuff. And eventually this main character wants to get her heart back, and she learns of this plan of the witches because there's whisperings of a new war coming that will officially kill off all the witches. The witches in the area, including the one that has her heart, make a plan where she goes in to the kingdom, gets the prince's trust, takes his heart so he becomes a heartless, and then that will like use the prince as basically a way to make it so the war doesn't happen and all this fun stuff. But then she goes in and she ends up falling for the prince, and also there's secret stuff with the prince and a bunch of other things. And I'm just gonna say it, I thought it would have been funnier if the prince had died at the end. It would have been so good if it had, but no, it didn't happen. Real shame. But I'm going with 3 stars. It was fine. I didn't like the audiobook. I recommend the ebook instead of the audiobook, but the problem is that the chapters are so long, so like I have to do the audiobook to get through it. And that's the life we're living. And then the other one, the one that I have notes. I have sticky notes here. Like, I dropped the sticky notes. What is this hell? But it's Helter Skelter by Vincent Bugliosi. But he was a district attorney, specifically, more prominently known one for Manson, as in the Manson family, as in the Manson murders. So yeah, that was a lot of fun time. I think I rated it 2.5 stars. Yeah. This is my least favorite book of the month. It's so long. It's so long. I have quite literal notes. So there's like, it's really long. And the reason for that is that there's a lot of details, which, like, yes, we approve of details. I am a nerd. I like to know these things. There's like footnotes all the time, and you know, like the 16 different names for each person, because a lot of the people in the family use different names throughout. But also the problem is that it like quite literally almost put me to sleep at one point, like, which was, I have a little green asterisk, even though I wrote that in red, because I guess that's kind of a good thing, because like I have trouble sleeping, so like I guess I could just like put on the audiobook if I need to sleep. So yeah, but also on top of that is like informative, but also there's like the thing where what I like to call the Truman Capote effect, which is funny because Truman Capote is like in one part of it where like he was on like a talk show or something, he talked about it. But like I've read In Cold Blood for my creative nonfiction class in college, which is by Truman Capote, and it was known fact that a lot of the stuff in there that he made to humanize the victims, there's no way he could have known that. Like, everyone who was there in that scene, like, they're all dead. So how does he know all this information? He doesn't. He made it up. And it had the very same feeling for a lot of it in Helter Skelter. Where, like, all these people are dead. How do you know exactly what happened? Even, like, these people are clearly, like, the people who did it are clearly liars. So like, yeah, it's a lot of stuff of like how much of it is actually real and how much of the like stuff that he uses to humanize these people fake to kind of humanize them. And on top of that, we're gonna go into one of my favorite lines in this book, because it just says so much about it, which continues on the whole entire thing where it put me to sleep. This is actually just a review for Helter Skelter now, by the way. I don't know if you know this. But there's this part where he talks about how, I don't know if it's really critiquing autopsy reports, but he says that autopsy reports are super dry and very detail-oriented. It's not like about the victim beforehand or all this stuff. It's just about this one little thing, how they died, that's it. Nothing else about the victim. Very cut and dry. All this stuff, which is like, yeah, makes sense. It's an autopsy report. But it kind of felt like a critique of autopsy reports. And then also, he tried to humanize these people, but like, it just, the way that he says everything matter-of-factly, with, I think the fact that he has like details everywhere, like very specific dates and all this stuff, is kind of going against me in this fact, where it also feels very dry. Like, it feels like it's an autopsy report of their lives, if you understand what I'm saying. And it was also very cut and dry, and it wasn't good. I'll go with that. Like, I have read a true crime thing, or once or twice, that I've enjoyed. I've enjoyed creative nonfiction pieces similar to this, that I have enjoyed the writing style. So like, it's not me. I know it's not me, which it feels weird because like everyone on Goodreads seems to like it, but everyone who I read this book club pick with also didn't like it. So those people didn't like this book, so that was fun. Also, there was a hint that Manson had superpowers. Everyone who was part of the family would say that like something different about him, like he always knew their thoughts, or they could see him when he wasn't actually there, and all this stuff, which may be because of the LSD he was giving them constantly. But you know, that's fine. There was this part where like the author of the book was, I think it's like the first time they had met, like they were at court for the first time. I think they were just getting the court dates set up and everything. And his brand new watch stops working suddenly, and he's like, oh, that's weird. And then he looks up and Manson winks at him, and it was just never mentioned again. And it was very much like, are you hinting that Manson actually does have superpowers and is either the devil or Jesus Christ? He says that he's the devil, but all his followers says that he's Jesus Christ. It's interesting. Also, I don't understand why the district, I think it was whatever attorney he is like in the middle, like he's doing a lot of the investigation, like interviewing people and stuff for the investigation. I don't think that's supposed to be how it's done. A lot of the police, the way the police do things, I'm questioning. Like a lot of times, there's like blood places, and they just don't take all the blood samples. They're just like, nah, it's fine. It's probably all the same blood. And then, also there's the timeline. So, like, the book starts with the Sharon Tate murder. Like, that's the most popular one, I'm pretty sure. So that murder, it starts with that one. And then it goes into the police investigation of what happened. And then it goes into the second murders and the police investigation of that one. And then it goes back in time into, like, all the followers of Manson's past, but also, like, his past. And, we're getting to my main complaint, which is, the view of sexuality. I know it was the 60s/70s, but please. I think it was like 69 when most of this happened, and it was 70 when the other half of the book was written. So, like, took place in, and it came out in 74, so, like, I know, but, like, still, but, yeah, no, and then it went into, the authors, actually being there around halfway percent, which is weird, and going through and doing his whole job, and all that fun stuff. And so the timeline's a little weird. The timeline of what actually happened, not weird, because we know that by heart. Not actually, because I don't remember dates well. But the book does talk about the dates a lot, so that's fun. But the main complaint we are here to talk about is how sexuality is used throughout this book. There's a lot of his followers were very young girls, and things happened with them, but the way that they were viewed as either insane or devil followers because they were sexually active was a little weird. But the weirdest part was how homosexuality was very much like a direct comparison between homosexuality and being evil and the devil. Because, like, when it goes through Manson's whole entire, like, past, he was, like, in and out of homes a lot, and so he was around, I think he went to a boarding school at one point, or multiple of them, where all the students were male. And so it, like, brought up multiple times that, like, his only, like, up until he got out of there, his only experiences were homosexual experiences. And therefore, and then he, like, starts, that's when all of that stuff starts. Like, he starts robbing people and all this stuff, and it must be because he's gay. Oh my god. And it continues, like, he's, when he's, like, controlling the people and putting them on LSD, he's, like, doing things with, other male people, and, like, the way that it puts it in, and then it's, like, also, he murdered a bunch of people, like, it's, like, very clearly supposed to be a comparison that, like, which is weird, because Truman Capote was gay, so, you know, like, am I reading into it? Maybe, but, like, I'm pretty sure I'm not, like, it's very blatantly there that the comparison, is there, and I'm not having a good time. Spoiler, I didn't like it. Can you tell? I dropped the sticky notes, we don't need to talk about it. But yeah, that's what happened in July. I had a fine time, I guess. I liked rereading books. Let's go with that. Those were my favorite books. But yeah, those were the 11 books slash 42% of episodic as well, that I read in July. You know, remember that time when I said in August I was gonna read 16 books? Let's see how well that goes. But thank you for coming to this video slash 5 minutes of me reviewing Helter Skelter at the end. I don't actually know how long that was. I'm sorry, but I had thoughts and opinions, and I should actually make an actual review for Goodreads and Instagram, but I'll do that at a later time. I'm still behind on those. But speaking of which, on top of all the vlogs mentioned previously being linked below, so are my Instagram, Goodreads, and Storygraph. If you want to stay up to date on how far I'm getting in books, Goodreads is the best way to do it. And if you want to stay up to date on what I'm reading books, I would say Instagram, because even when I am reading a book for a vlog, I will put on my Instagram stories what I am reading those books. So, like, in a quick little thing on my Instagram story, nothing serious that's spoiler for the video or anything. And then also I write reviews for books that aren't for vlogs, and they both go up on Instagram and Goodreads and Storygraph. So, like, follow me in all those things if you want to stay up to date with all the crazy things I do. This has been a time, at least it's under half an hour, of me thinking books were fine, and then really not liking Helter Skelter. Thank you for coming.